We have called our paper Design Build Contracts in Norwegian Road Projects, and it is written by my master student Helene Riksheim, myself, Ola Lædre, and my colleague Paulus Wondimu. We have studied two cases with different owners, namely the Norwegian Public Roads Administration and Nye Veier, which can be translated to new roads, which was established by the Ministry of Transport in order to build roads faster and cheaper than the Public Roads Administration was able to do. Nye Veier has adopted design build contracts, which is quite new in road projects in Norway, in order to achieve this goal of building faster and cheaper. And they do this instead of using the traditional design bid build contracts. We have selected to study two different owner organizations because there are different ways to approach the same type of contract. Before I move on, I want to say that Helene Riksheim, she has started to work with a contractor in the two cases, Lædre, and Paulus, in addition to be employed by my university, the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, is employed by the Norwegian Public Roads Administration. Yeah, when it comes to the research questions for this new approach with design build contracts in road projects, we have formulated two research questions. The first one is how were the design build contracts executed? But in other words, what did they do? Second research question was what are the experiences from the design build contracts? Put in other words, what happened in the two projects? To answer the research questions, we carried out a literature study and case-specific document studies and case-specific interviews. We looked at two cases that had different owners, namely the Norwegian Public Roads Administration, who used competitive dialogue for procurement, and Nye Veier, who used best value procurement. Both cases had the same contractor, Lædre. They had approximately the same size and costed around $200 million each. And yeah, they had this design build contract. For the case specific document study, we got access to contracts, organization charge, strategy documents, etc. through the first author, since she had this summer internship within the contractor Lædre, so she was allowed to collect these documents. The interviews were carried out face to face. We made a transcript from each interview, which we sent to the respondents for control. And we interviewed the 6 representatives from the contractor and 6 from the owners in order to get a balanced view on the projects. We have structured our results section in 3 according to the project phases: procurement and contracting, execution and commissioning, and operation and maintenance. For the first case, E6 Helgeland North, where the Norwegian Public Roads Administration was the client or the owner, we found for the procurement that the parties had positive experiences from the competitive dialogue. They cooperated well, and the contractor came up with a good design, which they agreed on in an additional contract. Then, when they entered the execution phase, the contractor came with a new management on site, which quite soon found out that they were not able to earn money with the current design, so they came up with new suggestions for improvements, but the owner considered these improvements to be cost reductions and insisted on staying into the initial plan. And that was frustrating for the contractor, since they experienced that they could not earn money on the project. The owner also wanted the contractor to see design, execution, and operation as a whole project, so they had included 15 years operation and maintenance period to the contract. And that was also frustrating for the contractor, because road operation and maintenance is not part of their original business model. So they had to hire a subcontractor, and they did not feel comfortable with the extra responsibility. In our second case, E18 Rugtvedt-Dørdal, Nye Veier was the owner. They had some similar experiences as in the first case. They had a nice procurement and contracting phase after the best value procurement, where the contractor was allowed to use his constructability knowledge to do the design. Then in the execution and commissioning phase, they continued the improvements of design, but the rule in Norway is that the Norwegian Public Roads Administration has handbooks and manuals that decide how roads are to be built, and these handbooks and manuals restricted the room for maneuver for the parties. This contract included an option of 20 years operation and maintenance, but the owner did not want to use this option. Still, there was a 20 years warranty period, and the contractor felt that this 20 years warranty period represented quite a high risk that they were not really paid for by the owner. In both projects, the contractor and owners had positive experiences from the procurement phase, because the contractor got to know the project and develop it, had time to do that. For the execution, the contractor missed the opportunity to do improvements that showed up during execution, but still they cooperated well with the owner organization. The operation responsibility and the warranty period of 20 years made the contractor design sustainable solutions and choose good materials, because they wanted to reduce risk. So, final slide, conclusions. In future projects, the owner and contractor should make sure that they agree on the risk responsibility and room for maneuver up front before signing the design build contract. Another learning is that the owner organization should be structured approximately in the same way as the contractor organization during design, to make sure that the parties communicate well. We also found that the Norwegian Public Roads Administration's handbooks and manuals restricted the room for maneuver in design build contracts because they are quite detailed. And we also found that the E6 Helgeland North project did not fully exploit the available room for maneuver after the final contract was signed, but in E18 Rugtvedt-Dørdal they did. However, for both the owner and contractor organizations, there is a need for gaining more experience and adapt their organizations to design and build contracts. And one main learning from the two case studies is that similar contracts, they can be used differently. If there are any questions, we are ready to answer.